Hello everybody, we're at the Vallenwood Boarder Artisans Camp here. Show you where we are on the map. It is there. Scar's End Way Shrine. Vallenwood Gate. Dungeon Moongrave Fane. And Moongate of Anequina. Sunspire. So, yeah, we're right there. I'm going to be taking a look at origins of the Khajiiti martial tradition. Look here. Just come right in. Find it right here. Alright. Intend to reign superior of foreign customs. Alright. Despite its status as one of Elsewhere's most enduring traditions, the origin of Khajiiti martial arts or claw dances remains murky at best. The burning of Corinth's Grand Archives by Mirror's cultists in 1E463 destroyed most of the region's monolithic records, making the work of cultural historians like myself very difficult indeed. Luckily, Darlock Bray, the famed conqueror and so-called Golden Beast of Anequina, took great pains to secure what histories remained, placing them in vaults and smaller archives throughout Elsewhere. Gaining access to these archives is no small feat for a high elf, I can tell you. But years of dogged persistence have borne some meager fruits. From what I can ascertain, life in Morethicare Elsewhere was a toilsome affair. At the time, the famed 16 kingdoms of the Khajiiti were little more than competing fiefdoms ruled by a cruel hunter aristocracy. I can never say that word. Severe droughts and periods of famine struck Anequina with pitiless regularity, and the constant feuding of the hunter nobles resulted in widespread military conscription, robbing peasant communities of useful labor and prompting still greater famine across the region. The only check placed on the hunt lords resided in the Temple of Tuman's Dance. Khajiit Adepts and other Torval clergy wielded significant cultural influence and occasionally used it to vex or even overthrow particularly vicious hunt lords. The aristocracy chafed at these intrusions and knew better than to challenge the adepts directly. At some point in the high days of the Mythic era, a particularly ruthless hunt lord named Takazan the Striped Death paid a flock of criminals to set fire to the Valka temple. The clergy displaced by the blaze immediately fielded a small army of warrior adepts, to punish those responsible. Details of the conflict are lost to the ages, but the resolution was quite clear. Takazan's forces squashed the priestly uprising and drove the remaining adepts out of the kingdom of Dune altogether. Dune is in this game, but it's a group dungeon. Seizing the opportunity to be done with the adepts battling once and for all, the other hunt lords across northern Elsewhere, tier of what is now Elsewhere, instituted a policy of weapon confiscation. They cited the violence of Ralka as evidence of the clergy's treasonous intentions and brutally suppressed any religious order that refused to comply. Rather than after an extended period of despondency and contemplation, the adepts turned inward, cutting ties with the politics of the age and focusing entirely on self-perfection. Religious meditation was an essential part of the journey. In many cultures, meditation is a quiet and motionless activity, not for Khajiit. Their nervous energy and focus on raw physicality drove them to adopt a lyrical, dance-like form of meditation. It couldn't have taken long for the adepts dancing to transform into something akin to a martial art. Smooth meditative dance gave way to swift claw strikes and dancing leaps. This should come as no surprise given the Khajiiti's predatory instincts. People possessing claws and fangs cannot be expected to remain peaceful forever. After centuries of isolation, the adepts emerged from their cloisters, bristling with martial skill and wisdom. By this point, the hunter aristocracy was nearing its end. Disparities in wealth and influence had reached a tipping point, paving the way for a long overdue public uprising. The adepts wasted no time sharing their hard-earned skills with the beleaguered peasantry. Within the span of a few generations, the adepts' martial arts were completely ubiquitous. All the people needed was a spark. In the latter days of the Mythic era, feuding hunt lords from Maryville and Halkarn drafted thousands of peasants into military service, about one of the worst famines in Elsewhere's history. After 3 years of feudal conflict, the armies of both lords turned on their masters, toppling the aristocracy in a rain of slashing claws, wind kicks, and bone-breaking punches. For long, peasant uprisings broke out in nearby Riverhold, Orcrest, Burkarth, Bukra, and Quinal. In a century, the regal hunter caste had been reigned over elsewhere for thousands of years fell from power. We know that the glorious dream of a farming utopia never took hold in Elsewhere. For a few hundred years, a new brand of landed nobility ascended from the thrones of the 16 kingdoms. The people have never forgotten the power they wield. Despite the lack of written records, the rich oral traditions of the Khajiiti grandmothers ensured that the cat folk never forget their struggles and triumphs. I remain an outsider here, but I cannot help but think that we approach a new tipping point elsewhere. The Imperial Euraxia Tharn is not so very different from the Hunt Lords of millennia past, and if she does not learn from her missteps, she may well share their fate. Oh, she did. Well, that was Origins of the Khajiiti Martial Tradition. Hope you liked it. It's an interesting book. Find it at the Vallenwood Boarder Artisan Camp in northern Elsewhere, or probably in Vallenwood. If you're looking to find it. Take care of yourselves. See you guys in this one. Peace.